Hey guys, today I want to provide you with some tools on how we can manage our weight, and more specifically, we're tend to be looking at losing weight versus gaining weight, but these principles can certainly be applied to both. Most of us, when we think about losing weight, we instantly jump to that idea of tracking our calories and trying to hit certain macronutrient goals, so our fats, our proteins, and our carbohydrates. That's certainly one method that we can go about doing this, but where we're going to get the best results is when we pick something that we know that we can adhere to long term. Because if we absolutely hate counting our calories and weighing all our food out ahead of time, then we're not likely to still be doing that 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, right? So find something that we can stick to so that we're not yo-yoing up and down with our weight. So some alternatives to just counting your macros and moderating your calorie intake are changing the timing of when we eat or restricting the foods we eat, right? So we can restrict calories, we can restrict food, or we can restrict time. So those are the things that we're looking to manipulate when we're trying to lose weight specifically, or lose weight and gain a little bit of lean muscle mass, or even when we're trying to gain muscle mass as well. It just changes the dynamics of it a little bit. So a lot of us have tried the counting calories and it didn't work for us. So these are the other options. Here's the steps that we need to take to accomplish that. Number one, we have to get in touch with our body a little bit so that we're able to say, when am I truly hungry versus when am I just bored and want to go to the kitchen? So finding true hunger and then finding the difference between satiety and feeling full. We don't always have to eat until we're full and we can't handle another bite. We eat until we're satisfied. So that's key for these other options, because that's going to be what helps moderate the total amount of calories that you take in. And then next, we're choosing a method. So do I want to track my macros? Do I want to restrict the time window that I'm eating within? Or do I want to restrict certain foods out of that diet? So once you've picked that one, then what we need to do is track and adjust. So we need to pick a metric that we want to track by. So that could be a scale, that could be photos, that could be measurements. So you could do like a tape measure around your waist, see what your waist is and see that that's changing, or your biceps, your legs, all those things. You probably want to pick a couple different spots. And same with the weight. If you're measuring that, you want to do it as consistently as possible. So best time to be doing that is first thing in the morning, where we're going to be the most consistent. So if we had a big meal one day and wait in the evening or something like that, then we're going to have more fluctuation than first thing in the morning all the time. And then pick a time that we want to be doing that. So we can do that daily, we can do that weekly, and then we want to take that and expand it out. We don't want to get too caught up in like a 1 day difference or a 1 week difference, but start to look for bigger trends. So if you track, let's say each week you weigh yourself once a week, then you have 4 data points that you can basically pull from. And if we see that that's tracking upwards, then and we're trying to actually lose weight, then we know that we need to decrease our calories a little bit more, restrict our food or our timing a little bit more. And then if we are tracking fat and we want to be fat and we're in a maintenance phase, great, keep up what we're doing. If we're starting to head down, then that's perfect. That's where we want to be if we're trying to lose weight, obviously. And you make adjustments from that, right? So if you're tracking upwards, you know you need to bring it down. If you're trying to maintain and you're angled down or up, then you need to try and come to that baseline, right? So that's how you're going to use those to make the adjustments that you need to. And it is beneficial to go in and track your food from time to time so that you can get a rough idea how many calories you're eating. So say you choose not to use the macro tracking as your main way, and you choose to put yourself into a time restricted eating window. So you are going to do like a 16 and 8, let's say, and over that 8-hour period, you're not limiting yourself really. You're just trying to make good choices, still eating whole foods, avoiding the processed stuff a little bit, but whatever you want in that 8-hour window. If you realize through that time that, hey, I'm still gaining weight, maybe it's time to pull out the scale for a day, track it, be like, hey, I'm roughly eating this much. If I make my plate a little bit smaller, then I can bring that weight back down a little bit. And then as that comes down, okay, now I'm on track, stay at this amount of food. Or if I've just kind of leveled out, then hey, maybe I need to shrink that plate a little bit more and get it heading down further. Or maybe you're going to adjust the periods that you're time restricting for. So maybe you go from a 16 and 8 to a 20 and 4, because that's going to restrict the overall calories you're going to get in that 4-hour window, likely, right? So that's another option there, is to manipulate the time frequency that you eat at, or the time period that you eat at, sorry. And then if we look at restricting different foods, it would be, okay, when I restrict myself from these foods, then, and I'm starting to still track upwards, then I'm going to restrict these ones, and finding what works for you as far as the timing, the food that you're restricting, or the macros that you're restricting, and something that you're going to be able to do long term and are still getting results for by your tracking and adjustment calculations that you're doing from time to time. So we're looking for big general trends versus like those day-to-day, week-to-week changes. We want to see over a course of a month, 2 months, 3 months, are we tracking up, are we tracking down, or are we staying flat, and then making those adjustments.